So the Lakers just played their biggest card of the offseason, that being their mid-level exception, and it was a move that nobody could have seen coming. Not only were the Lakers able to acquire their runner-up for 6th Man of the Year in Dennis Schroeder, but they just landed official reigning 6th Man of the Year Montrezl from the crosstown rivals the Los Angeles Clippers. Harrell was never even in consideration of being available at that price point, as it was assumed he would be landing a much more lucrative offer from the $12 to $15 million per year range, but it turns out he's accepting a 2-year mid-level exception instead. This comes right after the news the Los Angeles Lakers just signed Wesley Matthews, along with now former center Dwight Howard signed with the Philadelphia 76ers. Currently, the Lakers' projected lineup is elevated to a completely new level, with a unit consisting of Dennis Schroeder, Wesley Matthews, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Montrezl, solidifying this team as likely favorites to win it all once again heading to next season as back-to-back champs. It will be interesting to keep an eye on the storylines that will emerge as to why Harrell decided to leave the Clippers to join the rival team, and what insights he might have on the real status of the Clippers locker room. I'm definitely still trying to get my head wrapped around the news, and I'm still in awe while making this video. But now the Lakers will be moving forward with 4 star caliber players, capable of dropping 20 points on any given night, and has officially entered the territory of being stacked. For those who don't know just how good Montrezl was for the Clippers this past season, off the bench he averaged nearly 19 points, 7 rebounds to go along with 1 block per game, all that production in a matter of less than 30 minutes per game. With the Lakers, it'd be safe to assume he automatically inherits the starting center position, being that Dwight Howard had opted to leave, and now they have JaVale McGee alone holding down the center position for now. Skill set wise, although Montrez can't space the floor, he has proven he could be a versatile defender that could guard all 5 positions, rebound at a really high rate for his size, and finish around the cup at a really efficient rate. These are traits that led to the Lakers reportedly being interested in another free agent center and former teammate to LeBron James, that being Cleveland Cavaliers' Tristan Thompson, but clearly this is a major upgrade. Keep in mind Montrezl is also a clutch client with his agent being Rich Paul, so this move could have been in play much earlier on, much sooner than the official start to NBA free agency. As far as the intangibles that Harrell provides Frank Vogel's team, he's a high energy, disciplined defender who lets his actions speak for himself, is vocal in the locker room, and he's one of the few players in the NBA recognized for giving 110% effort every single night, and he holds his teammates accountable as well. On this Laker team that calls for a recipe for dominance, with Anthony Davis matching Harrell's aggressiveness as the two would form an unstoppable front court in the paint, LeBron would have 2 dynamic rollers to the basket, who can play some pick and pop as well to make the defense really scramble, especially with the margin for error being so low. Newly acquired point guard Dennis Schroeder would reap the same rewards, now that he'll be entering a team that has even better talent than he had anticipated. To start the regular season with LeBron likely taking his foot off the gas pedal, a trio of Anthony Davis, Dennis Schroeder, and Montrezl alone is enough to be at least a mid-seeded playoff team. Keep in mind this will more than likely be a 1-year rental for Montrezl, despite the fact that he signed a 2-year contract. The second year is a player option, and if I had to guess, Harrell only took this pay cut because he wasn't impressed with the offers he was getting on the open market. It was only a couple months ago when Harrell was plopped into Doc Rivers' playoff rotation after the passing of his grandmother and really struggled on both sides of the floor. He clearly lacked the conditioning and spirit that made his market value so high prior to entering the bubble as a reigning 6th Man of the Year. In this case, I don't think the Lakers have much to worry about at all, being that Harrell will have an entire offseason to get back into shape, and if we're being honest, Harrell won't need to do much for the Lakers to dominate their opponent, with Dennis Schroeder, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis as teammates. It would be really refreshing to see LeBron James finally take a step back from the offense to trust his teammates to run plays without ever needing to touch the ball. Now would be the perfect time being that his cast is so star-studded. Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl have every incentive to play their hearts out every single night in the purple and gold, being that they'll more than likely be on contract years, and we all know playing the role of a high-quality star on a championship team comes with a major payday. But once again, I can't stress enough how well of a job Rob Pelinka has done. I can only imagine those who were impressed with his immediate signing of Wesley Matthews straight out of the gates to find out that he had signed Montrezl only a couple hours later. It's an offseason scenario that nobody could have seen coming, and just how it all managed to happen will be a storyline that follows for days. What exactly pushed Montrezl over the edge to not make the obvious move of returning to his old team when he didn't see what he liked on the open market, but instead to opt to join a team across the hall? I mean, obviously the Lakers are the better franchise, but something just doesn't feel right about what's going on in the Clippers locker room if such a vital role player decides to hop teams in this fashion. But back to Montrezl's fit with the Laker team, whether opposing teams decide to go big or small, Frank Vogel will stand pat with a starting lineup of Dennis Schroeder, Wesley Matthews, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Montrezl Harrell. Aside from spacing the floor, Harrell is exactly what the Lakers were looking for. In a small ball 5 that doesn't mind banging with bigs, is quick on his feet, and it's a major plus that he's a strong presence around the basket. But with this news, I think it'd be safe to say that the Los Angeles Lakers will be departing a former All-Star center DeMarcus Cousins, which is quite sad. Especially considering so much stock was put into the hopes that DeMarcus would be able to revitalize his career playing alongside former co-star Anthony Davis, but now that likely won't be the case, with Montrezl Harrell being the star acquisition playing the same center position. It wouldn't even surprise me if DeMarcus Cousins opts to sign with the Clippers. Their team is now in desperate need for a dominant low-post presence, and you really can't blame Cousins if he resorts to such a move, given his market value is just so low at this point of his career. In regards to the landscape of the Western Conference after this move, off the top of my head, there aren't any major moves left to make that would completely shift the dynamic at the top of the Western Conference. That's barring Giannis Antetokounmpo trade to the Warriors or something, which probably won't be happening after the Jrue Holiday trade. So I'd go as far as saying that the Lakers are miles ahead of the second best team in the Western Conference with whoever that may be. The scary part is that the Los Angeles Lakers still have moves that they can make, and a lot of you guys probably know who I'm talking about. Rob Pelinka has clearly shown that he's on top of his stuff, and he still has an expiring Kyle Kuzma contract at his disposal, along with the potential bird rights to KCP to utilize in a sign and trade. I don't want to feed into this pipe dream, but clearly Rob Pelinka has shown that anything's possible, and now the tone heading to next 2021 offseason is completely different, being that the organization has been restored to the days where stars are willing to sign. Between Dennis Schroeder, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Montrezl Harrell, having all these stars on one roster, I think the rankings would go as such. James has made it known that he's more than willing to defer to Anthony Davis at this stage of his career, so Davis will more than likely be the primary offensive option. LeBron should be fully embracing the secondary option, trying something new of balancing the ability to score off ball to new point guard Dennis Schroeder, while satisfying his itch to set up his teammates like AD and Harrell for success. As for the third option on this roster, it'll probably be Montrezl Harrell, as Dennis Schroeder resorts to being more of a playmaker than he ever was. That means that Frank Vogel will more than likely be implementing an offensive scheme to absolutely dominate opponents in the paint with their combination of size, strength, and speed. This team is not only a nightmare in transition, but it's also a nightmare in the half-court game with its new front court being involved in the pick-and-roll game. We might even see some high-low action from the two bigs, like back in the days of Pau Gasol and Andrew Bynum, especially considering how far from the basket AD commands the double team, and how effective of a diver Montrezl Harrell is towards the basket. But let me know down in the comments below, what do you guys think about Montrezl Harrell signing with the Los Angeles Lakers? It's crazy news, but there definitely could be more blockbuster moves that Rob Pelinka is currently working on. But that's it for the video. Take it easy, guys.